Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of How Did This Get Booked? I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning. I am a veteran of the professional wrestling business for over a decade, and I've held just about every job in professional wrestling except selling popcorn. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Zane Riley. How are we doing today, Zane?
Fabulous, Jake. How are you?
Very good. Very quick and very prompt intro today. I mean,
We got a lot to burn through.
We got a lot to burn through. We got a lot to get through today, and it's a very early start for us, so we're ready to start this day. Nothing's gotten our way yet, but let's not get anything, in the way of us introducing our non-wrestling fan, and Ryan Van. Thank you very much for joining us today, comedian Ryan Van.
Good to be here. Your headliner, however you want to refer to me. It's good to be here.
I appreciate you having. Now, Ryan. You've had a little bit of exposure to professional wrestling.
Sure. I would say I'm kind of like an alcoholic talking about how many times they relapse in terms of wrestling. Like I either was really into it or I didn't touch the stuff for a long time. Like I was into it when I was a kid. Sergeant Slaughter was my favorite. And then I got back into it during the D-Generation Suck It era. As we all remember.
D-Generation Suck It, yes.
Indie team.
Yeah, and it was. I do remember. I remember. I know we're going to discuss WrestleMania 11, and I was in the 8th grade when that was, and I wasn't into wrestling at that time. And after watching this, I think I know why. It was awful, but I do remember I was in 8th grade during the Suck It thing. Or 11th grade, and I was at Butler High School. And a kid got ejected from a game for doing that after dunking. He dunked the ball, went to the opposing side, told everybody to suck it, and they were like, "Nah, you gotta go." So that's when I got back into wrestling. I was like, I gotta see what this is all about, and it was great then.
Very DX of them.
Yes,
to get thrown out after telling somebody to suck.
Oh yeah.
You're like, this is the coolest kid ever.
Yeah.
This kid is now a god.
You got his number? Maybe we'll get him on the podcast.
Yeah, what's he doing now? Is he in the NBA?
I don't know what happened to that kid, but it was legendary.
But Ryan, you mentioned very, very briefly the topic of discussion today is WrestleMania 11. This is actually going to come out this particular Thursday, and I just wanted to get this out before the next WrestleMania, which is coming up at the end of this, the beginning of next month, that is. So this is...
What number are we up to at WrestleManias?
Is it
33?
33?
Yeah, we're up to 33, so...
Wow.
We're a third of the way there on this WrestleMania.
Okay, wow.
But, so I figured, so what better way to do a WrestleMania that's actually... It's up for discussion. Like, some people say this is the WrestleMania that saved the WWE, and there's other people that see this is the worst WrestleMania of all time. But
really?
Yeah. So we'll dive right into kind of the particulars, and we'll start that discussion right away. Like I said, this is WrestleMania 11. It happened on April 2nd of 1995. It happened at the Hartford Civic Center in Hartford, Connecticut, and attendance was 16,305 people, which is considerably one of the smaller WrestleManias. I think it's the second or third lowest, depends on how you count WrestleMania 2, which was spaced out over 3 cities. In comparison, to let you kind of know, to give you kind of a gauge on where this sits as far as attendance wise.
Yeah.
Of course, WrestleMania 3 had 93,000 people.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That was the one with the Hulk and the Giant.
Yes. Yeah. And then obviously the last one, 32, had 100,000 people were in attendance there, which me and Zane were at. WrestleMania 17, 6 years later, had 67,000. And then even a little bit closer, WrestleMania 12 had about 18,000. So, like...
Was 12 a bit better than 11?
Yes.
Okay.
1 year better.
Okay.
and maybe some of the lessons and the pitfalls were probably noticed, and that's why 12 was probably better than 11. But actually, 11 is coming off of 10, which is considered one of the better ones of all time.
Okay.
And I think we'll kind of discuss why that was probably the case, or at least some discussion that way. So, what did you? Obviously, you know about WrestleMania 3 and Andre and Hulk. What are some of the exposure to WrestleMania?
Not much with WrestleMania. Like I said, as a kid, I watched it with my dad, but those are pay-per-views. You got to pay money for that. I don't think I've ever, in my life, paid for a pay-per-view event. But yeah, as a kid, I watched a little bit of it. Like I said, Sergeant Slaughter was my favorite, probably because he was also a G.I. Joe. And then I went to a TNA event in like 2009, which was fantastic.
You were far too overqualified.
But it was only because a friend of mine was like, you gotta watch like AJ Styles and all these, he's like, it's not, because I was bitching and complaining about the WWE, like it's just boring.
Yeah, you got to see all these guys before they go to WWE.
Yeah. It's like, because I know a huge complaint with the WWE, and I remember even in like, the late 90s, early 2000s, like you have a Monday Night Raw, 3 hours and 17 minutes of wrestling. It was just, in my opinion, too much bullshit. But yeah, I mean, the TNA event was incredible. Scott Steiner told me he was going to rip my head off. So
That's how he says hello.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a common thing. This
Compliment, actually.
That's actually the most endearing thing I've ever heard Scott Steiner say to a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Honest.
I don't know. A lot of people don't understand. Like in the TNA events, is TNA still around? I haven't really.
Sure,
Are they?
why not?
I know they were on. They were on. Was it FX for a while, or was it
Fox
Spike.
Sports,
Fox Sports or
and,
something?
and Spike.
Okay,
And
Spike. That's it.
now they're on Pop, and I don't know,
Maybe.
maybe local cable access
Yeah.
now. I don't know.
It was
Come on right after Wayne's World.
Yeah, let's disclaimer that they're released on TV right now, but by the time this podcast drops this Thursday, they might not. Be.
They might
I don't
not
know.
be.
I don't know.
We'll find out.
It was fun though. I remember it was in Columbia, South Carolina. I think that like the Shriners
Okay.
Hall
Yeah.
or something. It was just dirty. Everything was dirty.
Yep.
And yeah, Scott Stein, like, and people don't know, it's not like television. Like, they swear. There's like a lot of dirty shit that happens, and he was not a friendly person. he was screaming at the audience.
Also, one of the nicest things ever said about Scott Steiner.
I remember he was just kind of going in on the audience. One lady was like, "I love you," and he was just like, "I wouldn't screw you with his dick. Sit down, you're ugly." And I was like, "This is incredible." And I hadn't been to a wrestling event in my life. I was like, if this is what it's like, I'm gonna keep coming.
All of these.
If people are threatened to, have sex with people with other people's dicks.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I told him when he came around to our side, my buddy. I was like, I'm gonna tell him he's got a needle hanging out of his ass. He's like, no, you won't. And I did, and that's when he went off on me. And I was legitimately scared. He was massive. I mean, he's always been pretty big, but he seemed like he really wanted to kill me.
He's just a genetic freak, man.
Yeah. But he's just selling it, right? He would kill me, right?
Sure.
When he blocked me on Twitter, I don't know. Guy does not like me.
Very passive aggressive.
Yeah.
He's mostly aggressive.
I'll show him. Block.
But speaking of a lot of bullshit and not a lot of wrestling, WrestleMania 11.
Yep. Whole mess of bullshit.
Whole mess of it.
Yeah.
Like, starts off with, like, and it's this is like a weird time in WWF because, like, the year before WrestleMania 10 was the first WrestleMania without Hulk Hogan, so they're really trying to figure out who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
And apparently, if you watch WrestleMania 11, you're realizing they're all about, like, B-level, C-level celebrities. Like, this is not the showcase of immortals. Like, they're not showing off clips of past WrestleManias.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas didn't help sell tickets or anything.
I don't buy it.
Pamela Anderson.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. They're not showing old clips of old WrestleManias, I guess, because most of the people that were in old WrestleManias aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to know who they are.
Yeah, so, like, you really don't want to be advertising for the other company that's promoting those people. So, like, you got to promote Pamela Anderson and John Turturro.
She was she was popular at the time. The Jonathan Taylor Thomas thing I didn't get. Like, I did a lot of research on this, and evidently he was keeping time in the match. And it was really just to remind everyone how awful the pay-per-view is. And by the way, he's here for some reason.
Try to get young chicks to watch it, man.
Yeah, that's
really young.
Yeah, like 11-year-old girls. Like,
Yeah.
WWE's like, know what's really going to get these 11-year girls into our product? Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
JTT?
Yeah.
And they're really going to love it a few years later when we have Sable, like, basically on, like, a painted bikini. They're really going to look up to that.
Yes. Role models is what we're looking for.
Exactly.
You know what's going to bring in role models? The guy from Jungle to Jungle.
But yeah, and I love, like, the celebrities mingling with, the wrestlers, Hitman with Salt-N-Pepa.
Yeah.
The Pamela Anderson thing with HBK, Nick Turturro with The Undertaker, and yada, yada, yada.
I think Bret Hart won in the celebrities that you get to hang out with
Oh, yeah.
category.
Sure. Absolutely.
Wasn't that considered one of his worst pay-per-view matches ever?
Yes.
By himself. he considers it that way.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's very much what he considers that match to be. But the song at the beginning, because they do America the Beautiful. I don't know if you know why they do America the Beautiful at the beginning of WrestleManias.
Why?
Because you have to pay to use the national anthem, and Vince McMahon doesn't want to spend the money. So
that's cheap.
So he's like, "Fuck you."
How much does it cost for the national anthem?
I don't know what.
More than they made it this WrestleMania, clearly.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Which same bearings. Why you won't find Salt-N-Pepa on the VHSs?
Yes,
because they didn't want to pay royalties for it.
Oh, that's cheap. Wow.
Because they performed it at the live pay-per-view, but they obviously by the time you put on the VHS and the network, that's why you just random see Salt-N-Pepa.
Yeah.
Not doing salt and pepper shit.
Yeah, not doing that. They're just on stage, just yelling down at people.
Wow.
That's why that's a little weird. But yeah, we have a special Olympian singing "America the Beautiful," which is great and nice and stuff like that. But it's very weird in seeing WrestleMania and the spectacle it's become.
Yeah.
Like now we would have someone like a Demi Lovato or a Ruben Studdard.
Yeah.
At least somebody that's been an American.
Did you just say Ruben Studdard in 2017?
Yeah, I don't think he hasn't been relevant in well over a decade.
Listen, that's why WWE can't get the A-list. There's not like they're going to have Beyonce sing "America the Beautiful."
That'd be awesome. You would put asses in seats, bring Beyonce.
Yeah,
that's true.
We're going to get Clay Aiken sing "America the Beautiful."
It's not up to much anymore.
Well, back then, I want to say wrestlers were still. I mean, they were driving to the show in their capris. Like they weren't making too much money then.
Well, that was something that I did in some of my research when I was looking up an interview with Kevin Nash, and he was talking about this period of time.
Yeah.
And he was talking about his first contract with WWE, which was in, I believe, '94. It was guaranteed 10 shots for
1,500.
Yeah, it was for.
I watched that before.
I say, did you boys?
He did more research than I did.
You boys hop on the same website?
You laugh at me for doing too much research. Finally, we get a guest that's on the same page.
I'm literally watching it as I'm scrolling through facts about WrestleMania 11. It's really fascinating.
It was for $150, so it was a $1,500 guarantee.
Yeah,
that was his first contract. He said he was working on top, making $300 a night, which is what good indie guys make right now.
Yeah. Really? Wow.
So. Yeah, that just gives you kind of the idea of what's going on.
It still reflects like the comedy circuit as well. Like I'm an indie guy right now. It's like I'm trying to get into those improvs. It's like the WWE. Yeah. But people are like, well, why don't you go to the? It's not that easy. I'm sure people are like, why don't you just go to Vince and say, can I get on the next Raw? Yeah, sure. It's that easy.
That warms my heart that it's just as hard.
Oh no, yeah, it's not easy.
Nice to know it sucks just as bad.
Oh, yeah.
Other people are miserable.
Yes.
It's business.
Yeah, when you get built on HBO comedy special.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even think of that. I should just call them. I'll do it after the podcast. I'll just hit up HBO.
All right.
So I just got to call Russell Simmons and I can get on.
Oh, yeah.
Give him a holler.
Yeah, exactly.
New Def Jam.
Let's jump right into match number 1. Allied Powers, British Bulldog, Lex Luger versus Jacob and Eli Blue. What are your thoughts on all the participants in this match, Ryan?
I remember I liked Lex Luger back in the day. Luger.
Yeah.
He looks terrible now. Or is he alive?
Sure. Yeah,
I also kind of was researching who is alive and dead now from this.
Well, of the people in this match are not alive.
Which one is it?
The Bulldog.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Way dead.
Yeah, he's
way dead.
Well, if we've learned anything from this podcast, we just assume everybody is dead.
And we wait for someone to prove us wrong.
I mean, it's crazy that Jake the Snake is still around. And he was just at the Comedy Zone, which I can't believe.
Which, speaking of, Dennis Stamp died today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who we've had on this, who has been a topic of conversation on this show.
This is very true. This is the podcast that kills people.
That's right.
As far as the match is concerned, that's funny.
It's not funny, Luger.
It's not very interesting.
Yeah. That's the thing. There was a lot of Normandy references in the commentary, reminding people of our alliance with the UK.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course. A little bit of history lessons because ain't shit else going on here.
Yeah, and this is our first shot of seeing the ring, and there are a shitload of photographers around this ring.
Yeah.
They
seem to get in the way a lot.
Amount, the entire time.
Did Vince, is he just I'll just go with it.
I'm pretty sure it'll probably be a bunch of the news outlets wanting to cover more about the celebrities than the wrestlers.
Yeah, I was thinking, because, Lawrence Taylor, Connecticut's not that far from New York, so I imagine there's probably some Giants fans and there's sports writers, and, this is very open time of WWF. It's not as closed off as it is right now, where they would only have like their own professional photographer at ringside.
Yeah.
This is like, yeah, sure, more press, please. We need all the advertising. Oh, you want to advertise in the Daily Waterbury Herald? Like, yeah, come on in. We get a press pass.
Go right ahead.
Yeah,
news, guys.
Yeah, just come on in. The Bridgeport Gazette, come on.
Well, where do you want me to stand? Just right next to the ref.
Right next to the ref.
Just try to take up some space so we can get you on camera.
Like, I counted about 16 photographers.
Oh, wow. I believe it.
And that's just ridiculous. But yeah, as far as this match goes, Lex Luger is no Dynamite Kid. If you guys were curious about how I felt about Lex Luger, which I always like Lex Luger too. Actually, Lex Luger is the reason why I started working out, because I was like, man, I want to look like that guy someday.
Yeah.
And
hey, you keep it up, you can. Like Luger today.
Well, listen, when I posted on Facebook, thank you for everybody for wishing me a happy 51st birthday. Nobody questioned it. So I'm working out very hard to start. I'm starting to look more like Lex Luger now.
Yeah.
I saw that, and I did like reading the comments where people were like, "Oh wow, I didn't know that." Incredible.
Sigh.
Anyways, after this match,
we didn't talk about the best part of the match.
Well, what's the best part of the match?
When they decide to do the double power slam, Lex Luger just drops his blue brother right on top of Davey Boy's head.
Yeah.
Just drives him into him.
Well, I think this is like one of the first time the Allied Powers team up, so they're still working out all the kinks. I did like that Lex Luger did the same exact spot in the beginning as he did in the end. So he just did the same exact.
If it's working, ain't broken, don't fix it.
Yeah. So, but kind of, I guess okay.
Yeah,
sure, why not?
It's opener.
Dirty Dutch Mantel was there. That's the most important part.
Yeah. So he's also doing stand up too. Dutch Mantel.
Really?
And he's also writing for TNA just to keep everything together.
Which may or may not be in operation.
Which, if we're gonna keep going,
okay.
The Blue Brothers here, the Blue Twins, the Harris Brothers, at one point were about to buy TNA. Oh. Actually, I think they do work there.
Yeah, I think it's Don that works on the ring. I think.
And they were going to purchase it at one point.
Yes. So, the promotion that may or may not be still in a business by the time this podcast drops.
What if we killed the company instead of just a person this go round?
Oh.
Sorry, Caleb Conley.
If they're employing comedians to write, I need to get a hold of them. I feel like they would just turn down everything. Like, that's just evil. There's something wrong with you.
No, they might accept you.
Do
you know Chris Killian? Have you ever heard of Chris Killian?
Yeah.
He's a comedian. He's writing for TNA now, I believe. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Is this real?
Yeah.
You fucking with me, boy?
Yeah, and I guess he used to wrestle, but like somebody was trying to get his wrestling name out of him, he wouldn't like give it up.
Really?
Yeah. Louis Spicoli.
Wow, that's so funny.
Yeah, because I know like just about everybody at some point in time. I could probably find tape or footage on anybody. So if I could figure out what his wrestling name was, I bet I can find a match about it.
There is a comedian, God, I'll remember his name in a second, who, I was talking to Hef, who owns the Comedy Zone, and I was like, yeah, I just work with, he goes, oh my God, Ryan, he goes, back in the 90s, he was a wrestling comic, and he was the filthiest comedian you'd ever hear in your life. And I was like, this guy is a cruise ship corporate, wears a suit, doesn't swear, doesn't do anything dirty. I was like, you gotta be kidding. And we were on YouTube trying to find him, and evidently he has scrubbed the internet of this character. And I was like, well, how dirty? He's like, Ryan, I kid you not, he'd get up on stage, and his first joke would be about eating his dead grandmother's ass. And I'm like, this is the most insane thing. He's like, he has scrubbed the internet, or whatever this character was.
He is a trailblazer because eating ass wasn't big until like 2015 or 16. You call him dirty, I call him a forethinker.
Truly revolutionary.
Truly the Lenny Bruce of his time, for sure.
He said he'd be shirtless with gold on, and he'd get up there and just tell the most offensive material. I wish I could find him.
See Rick Ross?
But instead of Rick Ross, let's talk about how they tried to throw it to Nick Turturro and Pam Anderson's dressing room, and then the audio issue popped up, which I think this is like a prime example of why Vince McMahon loves the fact that he's no longer doing commentary anymore. Because he's such a control person.
Yeah.
Like now he's like in Gorilla, he's got a headset, a direct line to the director and the producers and everybody else in the truck, like, hey, throw it to this or do that. He can't really do that when he's sitting there at commentary.
Yeah, true.
So I guarantee at this moment in time, after the mistakes that they were, because they missed the cue for like the song in the beginning to start the America the Beautiful. This miscue happened. I guarantee he is fuming,
just stewing there, just watching this hat, like, you know,
because he's paid all this money for Lawrence Taylor to come in. He's trying to get every bit of publicity out he can, and the whole world is watching. Everybody already is calling this like, you know, bullshit, and everybody. This is his chance to show that I'm a legitimate, top-rate, world-class, federation, and this shit is happening to me right now, and I am sitting next to a guy dressed like a king. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, he is gotta be losing his mind. So
without a doubt.
Oh, for sure. But gosh, and also too, like, and King, he's even making jokes about it. He even said, he goes, we got a mystery going on, don't we, McMahon? And Vince is like, ha 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 ha. And I guarantee underneath that laugh is like, I will murder you. I will murder you.
Just deadpan laugh. Just soulless eyes.
But match number 2, Jeff Jarrett versus Razor Ramon.
A little boring, but I love Razor Ramon.
Yeah, how could you not?
So, out of all the matches, I found that one more entertaining than... I know we're going to get to King Kong and Undertaker.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that. We're not going to skip... Unless you want to just skip over. If that's the most we can say that match happened...
Let's just do an hour on that.
It happened. It's a thing. All right, and now on.
And that's another guy, like, you're surprised he's still alive. And he's doing well with the, DDP yoga and all that kind of... He's sobered up. And did you see that documentary?
I have not.
It's fantastic.
I'm pretty much aware of kind of the story because I've saw him on the
spoiler alert, they all live. But it's a really, really good documentary. And yeah, he was a mess.
Yeah. But
back then, I mean, he was classic.
Oh, he was the best. And, and like, that's the thing is, like, there's a lot of things in this match are like off time that I don't know if this is because, like, Jeff Jarrett is nervous because this is his first official Mania. He was supposed to be on WrestleMania 10, but Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels went long in the ladder match, and they cut his match.
They went long. It's like comedy.
Yeah.
It's like, why'd you get bumped to the Comedy Store? Fucking Dane Cook went long, you know?
Cocksucker.
Well, that's the thing. I think the ladder match went over like 10 minutes, or like it was like a lot for a WrestleMania. I think it was 10 or 15. Somebody might. I mean, it was much longer than it was supposed to be, and it bumped out an entire 10-man match, and everybody misses out on that WrestleMania payoff and the royalties for that.
Damn.
So yeah. A lot of people did not like Shawn Michaels at that time. Razor was okay because he was always well liked, but they were not well liked at that time because of that.
I think when you talk about, like, I mean, as a wrestler, you gotta have a personality, and I think he had one of the best. The slick back hair, the toothpick, all that shit.
But yeah, I think it's a little too, like, it's missed time because it seemed like Jeff Jarrett was like rushing through stuff because he just wants to do so well because. And also too, like, Razor Ramon's big opportunity.
Yeah.
A lot of weirdness with this match. Like, it just kind of ends. Like, I was the first thinking, like, why isn't this like the opening match? Because they think they paired very well together. But then when the finish that happens with the DQ finish and all that weirdness, I kind of understand that. And like the photographers get in the way of the roadie getting up on the ring, and just like it was just weird as far as that.
Which
goes.
Again, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking. Are the photographers part of this? Like, are they placed there to, be an obstruction for a reason? Is something going to happen eventually? No. Which
was actually the case just a couple years earlier when Hulk Hogan lost the belt to Yokozuna.
Yeah.
A Japanese photographer was at ringside, and like a flash, like the camera shot out the smoke or whatever and blinded Hulk Hogan, and that's how he lost the belt to Yokozuna. So like,
thought about that in a million years.
But. Yeah. So, anything else we can say about that match? Other than, I wonder. I'm trying to figure out how Jeff Jarrett got stiff because he came out of there with a bloody nose.
Yeah.
like how'd that happen? I'm guessing probably 1, 2, 3 kids kicks, but that's just my.
We can only hope.
Which, gosh darn, like he's another one. Like you kind of see him now, like the years of bumping around. Like it really kind of got to him. He still, works very hard, but like seeing him at a young age and just. Move the way he used to. Like, I forget how good he was at this time. Like, I just completely forget.
He got hurt right after this, too.
Yeah.
He was supposed to go to In Your House.
Yeah. So. Okay, moving right along. After this match, we finally get to Nick Turturro, who is
Finally, have we been waiting to get to him?
Well, Vince was. They had this thing all set up, and they're throwing it to the back, and said he was supposed to be in Pam Anderson's dressing room. He goes, "No, I'm not there. I'm in the green room." And then Jenny McCarthy walks up, just like she did just before, and they act like it was organically happening again.
Yeah.
So it's obviously clearly like, hey, we set this up.
Yeah.
Just how it is.
Well, early they throw it to Pam's dressing room, and they end up in the $1 Million Man's dressing room.
Yeah, that's the thing.
First
You can see Money Inc. in the back room, but then like, no, I'm actually in the green room. So it's like, I don't know what the story was and how that came about or what happened, but this is where we get the first shot of Shawn Michaels. I believe he cuts a promo at this time.
Yes.
Are you aware of Shawn Michaels at all? Like, were you ever a fan of him? Or
I wasn't a big fan of him, but I know he wasn't well liked. I mean, you mentioned that earlier, but I heard he's kind of a douchebag.
At this time, yes. He's like, now he's, I would say he's a better person.
Yeah.
But as far as like a guy, but at this time it's like also like with comedy, with a person that's striving to be the best guy, and there's only one champion.
You gotta be a little cutthroat, maybe.
Yes. And we'll definitely touch on that a little later on. But if we don't have anything more to discuss about that, we'll get right into match number 3, which, like we said, King Kong Bundy versus The Undertaker.
Yeah.
How bad could it be?
I mean, these are two gigantic human beings. So, I loved seeing Undertaker come out. And I remember, like, as a kid around that, I don't really was watching it then, but I just remember his intro being pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
But is King Kong Bundy still alive? Or?
Yes.
Is he really?
I think so. I think he might be missing a foot right now.
Diabetes?
Yes.
Motorcycle
You're like,
accident.
nah, fishing accident. Holy shit.
Got into a fight with a shark.
Life went off the rails. But it's cool seeing Undertaker come out, and I mean, I'm not really going to say much about the matches.
Because it only lasted 6 fucking minutes?
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
And this one was like, there was more of a compelling story behind the stealing of the urn than there was in the ring at all about the match.
And who's the guy that was holding the urn? Undertaker's, who's that guy? His buddy?
Paul Bearer.
I know he's no longer alive. But I used to love him.
Yeah.
He's great. He's just kind of boring.
Yeah. But it should be noted that the referee for this match is American League umpire Larry Young. This was during the umpire lockout. Mm-hmm. I just find that fascinating. That
was it also, when did the strike happen?
I think the strike might have been a year or two before, because I remember Randy Savage doing a WWF commercial involving baseball. Yeah. Saying that we never go on strike.
Okay.
Because we're basically indentured servants. I think was kind of the...
I think it would have had to been like a year before, because when this happens, like, the strike just ends. Like,
yeah.
It had just ended, or is like right on the cusp of ending.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I find it very odd that King Kong Bundy's in this capacity used in WrestleMania. I mean, I understand he's with Money Inc. and you're doing the whole Ted DiBiase thing, and we're just trying to get to Kama, who steals the urn. But, like, Bundy was the main event of WrestleMania II, and that was back in 1986.
Wow.
And now this is 1995, so 9 years later, still
plugging away. Old. That's why I asked if he was still alive, because I just kind of figured he wasn't.
But
well, good for him.
Yeah. Still kicking.
Yeah.
Well, with one foot.
Exactly.
Still hobbling
around. Ted DiBiase drops the urn at one point in time. It's like, Ted, you had one job.
Yep.
Like, this urn has a better story to tell in this match.
And you're just gonna drop it.
Than the guy you're managing, and you drop it.
Then you just oopsie it.
And is it racist when Kama steals the urn and says he's gonna melt it down into a chain? I think that's an important question to ask.
It's on the line.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's... No, I don't...
It's only racist if he does it. Oh, wait. He does.
Because he melted down to this big, gaudy chain.
Big old dookie chain.
And wore it around for basically almost the entire summer. I think that feud finally ended around SummerSlam in a casket match, as most...
As all?
Then yes.
Feuds, so.
It would have been great. So does that mean that he then had the chain melted down and reformed into an urn?
Yes, that's exactly what they did.
Because he should have just worn the chain.
Yeah. The
Could
Undertaker
you just
wearing a chain?
imagine? And that which would have led even sooner to the American Badass gimmick.
Yes.
Oh fuck!
He's like, I stole this black man's chain and now I wear it around my neck. Yeah. So that,
and he's basically that's how Kid Rock is born,
which was his entrance song during that era.
There's so much going on in this this WrestleMania.
There's going to be a lot going on right now when Nick Turturro's in the back, I guess, stalking Pam Anderson.
Assumably in Pam Anderson's life.
Like Jonathan Taylor Thomas is, a timekeeper, but Nick Turturro is the official Pam Anderson stalker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Steve Mongo McMichael walks up, Reggie White, and Chris Spielman walks up, and every one of them cut a little promo on the different guys in Money Inc. And Chris Spielman referring to Tonka as the cigar store idiot.
Wish he just said engine.
Yeah, I think he should have just went all in on it.
Which the least offensive of the racial slurs that you could have thrown out.
And I like how they didn't make Ricky Jackson talk. He just kind of stood there like, and
yeah.
and the t-shirts that like LT's team, All Pro team,
You mean those
wearing,
airbrushed Lawrence Taylor shirts that are awesome?
They look like a church group on a Six Flags outing.
That's also the same picture that the Baptist church would use for his funeral.
Yeah, like seriously, guys, can we get some better like at least with a 52 or something? I don't know.
Man.
Well, you got to build up to those sweet ass jerseys they get eventually.
This is true. And then, of course, we get into more weirdness with Jonathan Taylor Thomas playing Bob Backlund in chess, and that weirdness.
For some reason, yeah.
Knowing country capitals.
Yeah, and Bob Backlund bitching about all these kids and their phones and an invasion of privacy back in 1995.
Wow, that's incredible.
If he only knew that he had a premonition.
He is probably bitching about millennials nonstop right now. Most undoubtedly.
His entire Twitter feed.
While bitching about kids being on Twitter all the time. Match number 4. We have the Smoking Guns taking on Owen Hart and his guest partner, Yokozuna. A lot of discussion about who his partner was going to be. For a long time, it was supposed to be Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and they were going to be the new foundation. But Jim the Anvil Neidhart had a problem showing up to work on a continuous basis. And also, one of the things that I found out, and I don't know if you found out in your research, it was also supposed to be, they were discussing Chris Benoit for a short period of time.
Really?
Which would have been his debut in the WWF.
Because he was in ECW at the time.
Yes, he was ECW in a main feud there. So
Tag team champion, actually, with Dean Malenko.
And they were going to create some controversy that way, but then Benoit worked a few months later, and then eventually he went to WCW, so they didn't pull the trigger on him then when they had him. And
pull the trigger?
No, he strangled his family.
I know, nonetheless.
I was waiting for you to go, and then he killed his family.
Yeah,
and
they were ready to choke him to death yet. They were ready to
That's,
get the hands.
did you ever see the roast of Flavor Flav? Jimmy Kimmel said he's like...
Makes Chris Benoit look like a good dad.
that was what, 2 days after that happened?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Jimmy, that's great.
Oh, yeah.
Should I say it? Yeah, I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Owen Hart as well, though, and he died awfully.
Yes.
And did you ever see the foot? And I hate that they didn't show the joke. There was a roast that, Kevin Nash was drunk and had to get kicked out of. Because supposedly one of the roasters made a joke about...
It was Scott Hall. I don't know
Scott Hall, that's right, yeah. Did you see any of that footage?
I'm aware of the joke. It was saying that your career is falling as fast as Owen Hart.
Oh, okay. See, I always want to know what the joke was.
Yeah, that's what basically it was. It's your career is your career is falling as fast as Owen Hart. But see, because
Did he get hot about it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was for it's a 10-minute clip, and 9 minutes of it is just he wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And people, what's that guy? The Iron Sheik was hilarious in it. He's like, he's a fucking joke. Get out of here. It's great.
And that's the thing.
That's the best part of wrestling.
I think that's the difference with like
meltdowns.
comedians and pro wrestlers. Like roasting a comedian works far better.
Yeah.
Because everything's a joke, and it's like the fact that somebody took the time to write you a joke is like somebody writing you a love letter in a sense.
Of course,
it's like a little Valentine. That's something nice. Where in pro wrestling, there's a lot of egos.
Yeah, they don't seem like they're very stable people.
Yeah, it's like a pecking order.
Yeah.
If somebody down below makes a joke above you, it's like they're trying to knock you off of where you sit in the company. So that's the thing I always thought was very weird, and that's a prime example of why roasts don't really work for pro wrestlers, and you haven't seen a lot since that incident specifically, because everybody should have an Owen Hart joke and a Chris Benoit joke, but these were people that they were friends with, rode the roads with, and are now gone. So it's very hard for pro wrestlers to get disconnected from that.
It's like talking shit about a dead family member.
Yes, exactly.
Was that a WrestleMania that Owen Hart died at? Or?
It was a pay-per-view, but it was not a WrestleMania.
Okay.
So, but yeah, there's no mention of that as well. But Owen Hart, a lot of people like bash like Owen and Yoko's like tag team. I love it.
Great.
Yeah,
I thought it was
awesome.
They work well together. Owen's the workhorse. Yoko could come in and do his spots and stuff like that. And like I kind of forgot how good of a team the Smoking Guns were.
Yeah.
And
I used to be a huge Smoking Gun fan as a kid.
Yeah. Was it the mustaches or the tight jeans?
A and B. It was definitely the hair.
Yeah,
definitely
The hair.
But gosh, and of course, King's got to make a joke about the Hart family. He makes a joke talking about Old Yeller was a book about Stu Hart's tooth. But yeah, weird finish, but overall good match.
But hey,
I'll say it was a good match.
Yeah.
Probably one of the better on this show.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think this is the first time like, okay, at least we got one good match.
Something happened. Yeah,
we got a match that kind of went off the way it was supposed to and worked. I mean, the end was a little weird.
Somebody's got to help take this show off John Turturro's back.
Exactly, he's the one killing it right now.
He's the workhorse around here today. Can't find shit. Terrible detective. NYPD blue guy.
I think that's why they put him like, as a detective, have him run around for Pam Anderson all night.
Oh wow.
Then they had to get a different detective from SVU to come figure out what John Turturro's doing.
Yeah. Get Ice-T to follow him around, who's following around Pam Anderson, who's basically running away from, Jason Bourne. But after this match, they take to the Stridex blimp in the arena for a second, because they are the official sponsors of WrestleMania.
WWE with their good running record of blimps.
Yes, this is true. Then they throw it to a Bam Bam Bigelow interview. Not much I have read about that. But let's get into match number 5. Submission match, Bret Hart versus Bob Backlund. Special guest referee, Roddy Piper. And like you said at the top of the program, and like I found out in my research, Bret Hart said, without a doubt, my worst pay-per-view match ever.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. And I watched, somebody said that, because he wrote it in his book. I forgot what that book was called. But then he was
at... right over there.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
The Hitman, just what it's called.
Yeah, I think it's just,
Hitman. Didn't he have one that was worse? Like WrestleMania 27 or something?
They mockingly made fun of it, yeah.
Yeah, I know the video.
That book came out before
the What Culture, you're probably watching that YouTube video. They're doing this. I recommend anybody that's listening to this show to go watch the What Culture YouTube page. They're doing interesting facts of WrestleMania all the way up until WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things from 11 they were mockingly say, because that autobiography was released in 2006.
Yeah.
And he said that was his worst pay-per-view match ever. And of course, the match that he had in Arizona against Vince McMahon, which is not very good. And I don't know what type of story they were trying to tell.
You mean to tell me you don't want to see Bret Hart hit him with a chair upwards of 50 times?
They gave him a lot of time to just beat the shit out of Vince.
Vince was like Mel Gibson, just to
wear jorts.
Oh yeah, like the beating on the Passion of the Christ was far less than Vince McMahon took.
Wow.
It's just just stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. And then even Hart's family members beat up Vince McMahon too. It was just
real awkward.
So weird. They could have done that in 5 minutes and it would have been great.
I guess because Vince and him have had such a kind of tumultuous relationship.
Yeah.
That was real. They really didn't get along. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe they thought the fans really wanted to see that.
For that long.
They probably wanted to see the first minute or two of it, and then
come on, get on with it.
Yeah. So, but also too, Roddy Piper hilariously holding up the microphone. What do you say? I gotta say, when he said, "What do you say?" and Bob smacks that microphone away, funniest part of the whole thing.
Shut the fuck up, Piper.
I want to do an I Quit match and just do that verbatim,
the other night, Friday night, I did a show in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and they had a I Quit match there. Mm-hmm. And it was very much the same of, like, the guys wrestling, and then, like, the GM of the show doing the, what do you say? What do you say? What do you say? Do you come up? And one of the guys in it is a associate of ours, Baron Bullard. Okay. And at one point, he goes, what do you say, Baron? And Baron goes, fuck you! And that was his answer. And he just goes, okay. And fuck you!
Oh, I love that. I love the usage of the microphone in I Quit match.
Yeah.
It always leads to something. Because it is just like, what do you say? It is a lot of...
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a lot. Even in the best one, which Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA had, there is a lot of like, just a lot of grunting into microphones at certain points. It does become a little weird, and you have to have somebody who's good. Where I feel like Piper was trying to get himself over.
Oh yeah,
a little bit. Like,
oh yeah, Piper had a new movie coming out.
Yeah,
so. Hell Comes to Frogtown was up on the blocks.
Yeah,
What is this?
You've never seen Hell Comes to Frogtown?
No, and I immediately got sad that I haven't seen this.
It's the future. It's like a little post-apocalyptic world.
Nice.
Where humans are the minority and frog people run rampant.
All right. I'll.
If you want to know about bad,
you can't go from They Live to that.
Sure, you can.
I think Frogtown was before They Live, though.
Was it?
I think it was before. I'm not mistaken.
They Live is like 87.
We'll look this.
Yeah, you looked that up. But yeah, if you want to know about bad Roddy Piper movies, there's a lot of them.
Well, They Live is great, though.
Oh, yeah. That was probably his best one. Yeah. And I got to say, Body Slam's not that bad. Even though we'll probably discuss it on this show at some point in time. But
it's been a long time since I've seen that. I own They Live, though. I've got the special edition of that.
Yeah.
This is great. I love John Carpenter. And come on, who doesn't like a 5-minute
They came out the same fucking
wrestling
year.
scene in a movie?
Well, same year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I'll show you the at least the box of it. Oh, don't fix. There we go.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I've got to get that. That's just incredible.
It's a must-watch, guys.
Yes, it most certainly is.
You sold me on the poster.
But where are we at? But yeah, this match, not great, but, it's whatever. I think this is probably the prime example why this, at this time in WWF especially, if Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart didn't have a good match on a pay-per-view, chances are the pay-per-view was not going to be that good. Because they just didn't have the talent around them. Like, obviously you had people like Razor Ramon picking up the slack, but if Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart both don't have good matches on the show, chances are your show is not going to be good. And that's, considering how many talented people the WWE has right now and the ability to if, Kevin Owens doesn't have a great match, maybe Sami Zayn will have something good, or they'll have Samoa Joe, or AJ Styles. Like, they have the ability, they have a lot of people right now that have great matches, where at this time, if, like I said, it's all on Shawn Michaels and it's all on Bret Hart's shoulders.
So AJ is in the WWE now?
Yes.
Is he doing well?
Yes.
Because I remember, my buddy was a huge TNA fan back in the day, and that was like the reason you watched was him. That was it, the Shooting Star Press?
Yeah, he does all kinds of stuff, but yeah, he's
incredible. Yeah,
basically everybody that you saw on that house show right now
are
hugely successful and hugely famous, and not with TNA.
Oh.
So
good for them.
But Bob, as he's walking away from the ring, Jim Ross is interviewing him, and Bob says he saw the light, very Blues Brother-esque, and of course that leads into Bob Backlund running for president. So if that leads to that. Nick Turturro still stalking Pam Anderson. Which also too, it's funny is about this time Shawn Michaels makes an appearance on Baywatch and plays a bodyguard, which, if you know how big Shawn Michaels is very, even as a kid, to me, was very odd. Because, Shawn Michaels was only, maybe, 195, 205 pounds at the time, and he's playing a bodyguard on a syndicated, show. And normally when you're going to get a bodyguard, you get somebody like Diesel to be a bodyguard.
Yeah, somebody's gigantic.
So I remember that being, an odd thing, but I think that was kind of...
Maybe it was kind of like the Roadhouse thing. It's like, it looks are deceiving. This guy's a badass.
I'm sure that's how they pitched it to the producers at Baywatch.
Because if he walked in, I'd be like, that guy's... No.
No, of course not. Todd Pettengill in the back with Diesel. More audio issues. Vince probably losing his mind again. And then we go through and announce everybody. We have timekeeper Jonathan Taylor Thomas, ring announcer Nick Turturro, to get into match number 6, which is the WWF title match with Shawn Michaels, who comes out with Jenny McCarthy. And then Diesel comes out with, big surprise, Pam Anderson.
Yeah.
So,
I liked the match. The match I thought was pretty good.
oh yes, I don't think anybody can really disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a great match for sure. So
Did Diesel become another wrestler later on in his career? Or
he was Kevin Nash. He just wrestled under his real name.
Okay.
He's in the NWO.
Yeah.
Were they popular?
Yes.
Yes.
I had a friend.
Are you being facetious?
I
you were worried about him being too well knowledgeable
Yeah.
wrestling.
I remember
a friend
back
of
in,
mine
kid.
who had like an 86 Chevy Cavalier. It was all white, and he bought a shitload of black spray paint and painted it all black except for NWO. And we'd ride around in that sucker. And I remember his parents were so mad, and he's just like, "You don't get it. You just don't get it. This is important to me."
Did you listen to a lot of like Jimi Hendrix too, by chance? You might not have put the two together, but like, did you? Every time you got in the car, you was just playing air guitar really badly.
New World Order.
Oh, man.
Called you Hollywood.
The medium-sized man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why he keeps calling me medium-sized man. I don't know.
He keeps making me call him Hollywood. This is fucking weird. I need new friends.
Oh man.
But yeah.
That was right around the same time though, right? 95, 96?
You'd be like 96, yes.
Yeah, because Hogan left, what, 93 in WWF? And then...
Yeah, that'd be 93, 94. Yeah, it was 93. Because it was King of the Ring 93, if I'm not mistaken. Because 94 was WrestleMania 10. So, and WrestleMania 9 was 93. So, yes. It was about that time. Hogan's in WCW right now, filming Thunder in Paradise. Doing
wow.
that.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow. I used to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
That boat.
Thunder.
Oh, Thunder.
Thunder.
Have you seen the movie?
You remember No Holds Bar?
Yes.
I own it.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
I got the
Thought I'd throw
VHS
that
of
out
Thunder
there.
in Paradise right up there.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
You need to get on it. Trust us. Then listen to our podcast. Thanks
couple
for tuning in.
couple episodes ago.
Nice.
But back to this match. Good overall.
Yeah, until the end, the jackknife, where Shawn Michaels basically lands on his feet and then bumps on his ass.
See, and that's another thing. And you saw the same interview, so I'm pulling some things from that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Kevin assumes that Shawn was trying to not make the jackknife look good because
Yes.
that would be something that like a pro wrestler like politically trying to do, like, because obviously, you know, somebody like beating you in WrestleMania, they want to play that clip over and over and over
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
And to ensure that he wouldn't be roped into that,
Yeah.
he made sure that it didn't come off as well as it could have, you know, so that way they can't play the clip of him getting beat over and over
Yeah.
and over again, which is something that, you know, is very next level political in professional wrestling.
That's
But
funny.
AKA smart.
Yeah.
yeah. And also too, like, you know, like Kevin was worried that he was going to get blown up, you know, and like that first spot, like, gosh, like Shawn was just trying to move as fast as he possibly could, and then like I'm kind of like I don't know, like messed up when it comes to watching Kevin Nash's matches because I know his knees are so bad.
Yeah.
But I keep kind of reminding myself this is younger Kevin Nash, so his knees are not as bad as they are now.
Yeah.
And just seeing him like pick up and stand on one foot and stick his boot out, I'm like, oh gosh, don't like, even though I know it doesn't get hurt, like, what are you doing? Don't hurt your knee. Don't hurt your knee.
Yeah.
Like, especially when he runs and he catches his foot on the top rope, I'm like, oh, like,
Yeah.
like there's only so much holding him up right now.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
You know, and they have to fight through all those ringside photographers. Like, my favorite part.
I think that's where I really noticed the
Oh, yeah.
photographers more
Because
than...
they're going on the outside a lot more
Yeah.
in this match. And my favorite part, and like, there are things that Shawn Michaels does that people go, that's a prime example why he's an asshole. But then those things are the things that I love about Shawn Michaels the most.
Yeah.
Where he grabs the photographer by the shirt and drags him. Like, it's such a dick move that I'm like, God bless him. Love every bit of that, you know?
And I mean, yeah, since it's 95, you could tell like how good of a wrestler he is too at that time. Like when he knocks Diesel out of the ring. You think he's going to go over, and he kind of does a flip, and then flips back into the ring. I was like, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's like at this time, like this, he's fighting for that top spot. Like he hasn't got it yet. And this is like about the time when I really started to start to like him. It wasn't until the next night on Raw when he got powerbombed by Sid Vicious over and over and over and over again. Is when I like really got behind him as a babyface. Which I think this whole thing, if you notice when Sid Vicious took off the turnbuckle and he went for the slingshot, I think that was supposed to be a little bigger deal than it was. But Diesel was too far away on the slingshot, so he couldn't get to the top rope, which was an exposed turnbuckle. Yeah. Which I think that was supposed to be like the thing that they'd be playing on Raw, like Sid, you screwed me over, him confronting Sid. But since that didn't happen, he ended up hitting the second turnbuckle. Like they couldn't replay that, and that wasn't a big story. Because now that I've seen the match, I go, I think that was what the story was supposed to be about, and then that didn't happen. Yeah. And then they had to change where they were going to go with it. Yeah. So, but anything else we can say about this match? Anybody?
No. I would say that was probably my favorite.
Yeah. Of the night. Like there was a lot of, and that's something that Nash said in the interview, was the fact that like at this moment in time he's been around Shawn, he's worked matches with Shawn for like 2 years, 3 years, so he knows just about everything he's gonna do, and that's like just even the catch into the sidewalk slam. Like there's stuff that I've saw Kevin Nash do that I haven't seen him do in any other match. Yeah, and it's just far and away like it's just fantastic. So didn't save the show though. No, because we now have to get to our main event, the marquee matchup: Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow.
God bless Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah. And here's the thing that I learned from watching LT's documentary. Have you seen LT's documentary?
Is it a 30 for 30 or is it?
No, it's like a Showtime.
Oh no, I want to see it though.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Except when they get to the part about this match. It was definitely to clear up some debt, but I think in the documentary they were saying that it was to clear up his friend's debt, the guy that came down to the ring with him that had the matching jumpsuit with him. Yeah. I think it was either his debt or they were going into business together, or that guy was the one that lined up the deal for this to happen because LT had some debt. There was a debt to be paid. So
they really didn't want to be there.
No, they did not want to be there, and they actually refer to this match as one of the lowest points in LT's life.
Really?
Fuck him.
I thought he sold it. I thought he did well.
No, he refers to him having to wrestle as the low point of his life. Keep in mind, WrestleMania main event is a dream for every wrestler out there. Yeah. And he saw it as the lowest point in his life.
Wow.
LT, who smoked crack and then did a nationally televised interview. Not the lowest point in his life. Wrestling in a WrestleMania main event, lowest point of his life.
His boots even had the LT on them.
Yeah,
that's got to pump you up a little bit.
Yeah, and that was the thing too. Is like I remember them talking like there was a chance that LT might actually go on and become a full-time wrestler. Yeah, there was that thought.
I thought he did well. He was like straight energy right out the gate. Mm-hmm. He was giving it to him. I was like, this is gonna be pretty good.
Right out of the gate, but then at the end, no energy whatsoever. Like,
unfortunately, the gate stopped 2 minutes later, and
yeah. But yeah, thoughts on this match?
God bless Bam Bam Bigelow.
Who I heard was not a liked individual in wrestling.
He's more of an individual that like he wasn't like a friend of the Cliques, and he wasn't friend of like Undertaker's group. There was a lot of cliques going on at this time. Yeah. A lot of guys,
Didn't he have a beef with Macho Man over the Slim Jim?
I'm sure he did. He had a beef with Andre the Giant. Like Bam Bam is very much a guy who's like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I just want to show up, do my fucking job. I don't want to play politics. Fuck it. And he used to be like, I believe, a bounty hunter, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's like the last person you want to see coming for you.
Yeah, and I think that's why they particularly picked him to wrestle LT. So that way, if LT tried to do any funny business or do something, whatever, like in Bam Bam Bigelow's shooter interview, he referenced the fact that right before he went out there, like he was like, he basically said, he goes, I know you're getting $1 million for this. There's gonna be millions of viewers. If this sucks, I'm just gonna beat the shit out of you and pin you. And LT goes, I'm all ears.
Oh, that's great.
Like that's.
So LT got $1 million for that.
That's what I've heard from
Supposedly
several reports.
Bam Bam was paid the most for that pay-per-view, and he got like $250 or something.
Yeah, $250,000. But I think LT got $1 million is what they were discussing, and then I'm sure Bam Bam got the most of all the wrestlers on the card because he had to obviously put that together. And of course, Shawn Michaels and Diesel were complaining, well, we should be the main event because we're the champions because we're going to be here tomorrow. LT's going to go off and do whatever.
You could argue talent-wise, that should have been main event, but I mean, it's LT.
Getting people to watch.
You got to keep everybody to the end.
You know why people are watching that. And then this whole event is tailored to be celebrity heavy.
Yeah.
And I think even like in Bam Bam's interview, like Shawn Michaels was like, well, we should be main event. And Bam Bam's quote to him was, that's fine. You can be the main event. That's fine. But I'm the event. Was, like I said, Bam Bam didn't pull any fucking punches.
I'm liking him a lot more now. I forgot what wrestler was talking about him, but he's like, oh, he was a piece of shit and he died a deadbeat dad. And I was like, this is the plot for the wrestler, really?
Yeah, but see, I've heard like I don't know what as far as his family goes, but like I do know a story like late in his career when he's working for WCW, he was with his kids somewhere and then like a fire broke out and these kids were trapped in like a brush fire and he ran through fire and saved these kids and burned himself and he had to miss like a couple months from WCW because he had like second degree burns on his legs for running through a brush fire to save some kids.
Jesus.
So I've heard like that's the thing like it all depends on who you talk to. Some people say that Bam Bam.
Well, that's a positive story.
Yeah. People can say Bam Bam was one of the coolest guys ever. No bullshit. And then also two people can say you big asshole because he probably was the guy that said, "No, I'm the event, motherfucker."
Yeah.
Pull no punches, just straight forward.
That's great.
Also, too, LT was supposed to dance with Salt-N-Pepa after the match, but he was not doing any fucking dancing. Like he wasn't.
He was out. Yeah.
He wasn't doing much standing.
Yeah.
Like he was. I don't know if very fucking gassed for sure.
Now, I mean, you wrestle. You get gassed pretty quick.
If you don't know how to pace yourself, one thing that I try and do is when I lift weights, it's like high reps, total body, because I'm trying to put as much oxygen in my muscles like every single day and get used to that. Because you can't just do like cardio. Like you can do thousands of hours of cardio. It will not help you in the ring because the thing is you're moving every muscle in your body. So you have to be constantly moving like that and training like that. And that it's a high cardio thing. Like you just can't do on a cardio machine. So you have to be strong. Like 20 minutes in the match, you have to pick another man up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So
as we see here, by LT trying to give Bam Bam Bigelow jackknife powerbomb.
Oh yeah, I don't know what the hell. That's a perfect example. Like he's completely gassed and he's trying to give him a powerbomb, but it just ends up being like I flip and I move to the side. Like
a gut wrench suplex.
But Bam sells that though.
Yeah,
like, it looks.
He did all the work.
Yeah, it looks better than it was. I remember kind of thinking that like, I'm
gonna start doing power bombs that way. Just change the game.
Yeah, just the off to the side.
Yeah, the LT bomb is what I'm gonna call it.
And also too, I don't know if he was LT that is was supposed to move out of the way of the moonsault.
I think so. I think he was, which should have led to what almost happens here soon. He comes back, so I think that was supposed to be. Because he hits it and then he covers right up and starts talking to him like, you're supposed to move. Because then he starts selling the leg kind of out of nowhere, which played no part again later.
Yeah, because usually, it's not too often that Bam Bam's going to hit that moonsault.
Because, I mean, it's not...
Usually he goes up and the guy rolls in and the guy starts his comeback. But I think LT was just so gassed, like... give me a second, and then just didn't move.
I wonder how much training he did before he got in the ring for that.
Probably not much.
Not much.
Because you probably had to have paid him to come to training.
Yeah, that's another thing, too.
I didn't think of that.
So they gave him like a couple hours in the day. And we're like, all right, well, fuck it. Here we go.
So basically Vince gave him an hour.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well...
Get here early.
Yeah, it wasn't taking it too seriously. And this is the low point of his life.
Yeah, of course. Why would he give a fuck?
This is the lowest point. Wow, that's funny.
I'm going to leave here and go smoke some crack, and I'll catch you losers later.
Yeah.
Nerds.
But yeah, and then the finish, you just come up out of nowhere. Very zero to hero-ish. Also, too, should be noted that the referee in this match was Pat Patterson.
Yeah.
Who, anytime they have a celebrity in the ring, usually Pat Patterson is in the ring as well, because he's the guy that usually helps put together these matches as well. he was the guy that also refereed WrestleMania 1 when Mr. T wrestled.
Yeah.
So, like, he's the go-to guy. So that not only, also to help Bam Bam, so not only is Bam Bam talking to him, the referee's talking to him, like, hey, this is where you need to be. Because I'm sure Pat knows everything that Bam Bam's going to do, so that way he can convey again to LT so he doesn't forget anything. Because it's that detailed of a situation. So, anything else we can say about this match, gentlemen?
No.
God bless Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he really does
Carried it.
carry that, and I think a lot of people give him credit for it, and if they don't, they should, because he really is fantastic. But a little piece of information that I should drop too, because there's very celebrity heavy, and Vince thought that this was going to lead to thousands upon thousands of buys, more so than any other year. But actually, it did not. He did less buys than he did the year before at WrestleMania X. WrestleMania X had 420,000 buys, and WrestleMania 11 did 340,000 buys.
Oh, wow.
So business was down, and he thought these celebrities were going to draw him all this business, when in actuality they did not. And that's why he went back to more wrestling and featuring Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. Like I said, the guys that are carrying the company, which led to them having an hour-long Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12, which was actually considered a huge success financially and buy rates and everything else. So, anything else we can say about this pay-per-view other than that happened?
I don't think so.
I think we nailed it. I think we did more for it than they did for themselves.
Yeah, and
I will agree with that.
And that's the thing that's weird about this is they brought in celebrities thinking it was going to draw people in, when really it's like people wanted to see wrestling, And I think that's a lot of things. Like it's funny when we talk about the similarity as a comedy as well, as we can bring in YouTube stars that get all these views, and you expect them to do what a comedian does. Yeah,
there's a lot of people that come out of their shows complaining, like, it wasn't that funny. It's like, what the fuck do you expect? He's doing stand-up comedy. You're watching videos of him shitting or whatever. It's like, this isn't the same.
If shitting is your video.
That's... And you know what? I don't blame the owners of these clubs, because they put asses in the seats. There was some guy that came through the Charlotte Comedy Zone and sold it out at 9 o'clock in the morning. He was some internet guy, and it was a bunch of kids that were in there with their family. He gets on stage for 10 minutes, says something, and then goes and signs T-shirts and sells like $3,000 worth of merchandise. So he didn't even do stand-up. It was just like, your kids want to see me in person, and I'll give them that. But for 10 minutes, and I'm out.
He literally just stood up.
Yeah,
and that was the show.
That was it.
Ta-da.
Which is more than what LT gave us at the end of WrestleMania.
He made $1 million.
Yeah.
But it was fun to watch. Like I said, I was in 8th grade at the time. I really wasn't watching wrestling, so I didn't miss much that year.
Yeah, it's funny to see, because we've done a lot of shows during this era, see them dig themselves out of the hole that they were getting into with the steroid scandal. And I think a lot of people forget, I think it gets glazed over a lot, but he was very close that Vince was going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Like they didn't know. And they were making a lot of plans, as opposed to making plans for the future, making a lot of short-sighted deals to get cash.
Yeah.
And because I remember you listened to a Bruce Pritchard interview talking about how, like, they were discussing how they were going to run the company while Vince was in jail. Like, they were coming up with contingency plans on how that was going to happen.
Oh, wow.
Like, because the thing is, like, Bruce would go to Vince's, like, house, I think, like, every day or every week, and they would put together the TVs and go from there and then go on the road. And they were like, well, I guess instead of going to your house, we'll just go to jail and meet you every day and discuss what we're going to do to TVs.
What was the scandal really about?
Basically, they were trying to allude that he was selling steroids,
encouraging them to.
I think that's really kind of what he was doing. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, he liked a certain type of athletes, very very muscular and stuff like that, and the only way to get the type of body that he wanted was by taking steroids. And a lot of the guys that he was using who were in that spot were taking steroids, but they were trying to get him as the guy that was pushing them as far as selling them, which was not the case. There was another person that was doing it, but they were trying to make that connection with the guy who was bringing them there. Was there any money filtered to him for him to be there to sell steroids?
Oh, I see.
Then they could never fully, definitively make that point be known for sure. And that's pretty sure. But the thing is, when you deal with a judge and all these things, you don't know how they're going to rule. It was kind of a 50-50 situation, and what are these guys going to say? and these wrestlers like attention, and they like to just like, screw it, Vince was selling us steroids. I went in Vince's office and he sold to me, and all you need is one disgruntled wrestler. A lot of these guys are leaving and going to the competition. So not only do they not work for you anymore, they're working for the competitors. So obviously, if Vince is in jail, the company that you now work for that pays your checks will do better, and your check will get bigger. So like a lot of weirdness that way.
Wow.
But this was about the time that he's making a lot of short-sighted decisions to get out of the hole. And also, too, like, a lot of talent is leaving, So this is just before Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kane, Mick Foley, The Rock. Like, we're still, like, a year or two away from all that.
Oh, wow.
But, all right. Anything else, gentlemen? Let's cover this. Hit it. Done pretty well. Ryan, please let people know if you got any shows or anything coming up, how they can get in touch with you, especially your buddy who's got the NWO car, if he still has that, or if you find out.
I gotta shoot him a message. Basically, I mean, I'm all over. I love Twitter. Twitter's my favorite, and you can get Twitter and Instagram. I usually post where I'm gonna be. It's RVG is funny, and that's it.
Okay. Zane, you got anything coming up?
He said it's coming out
this Thursday.
We have PWX. Is that this weekend? No, that's next weekend.
Next week.
It's St. Patrick's Day, so I'll be inebriated somewhere.
Okay.
I have PWF in Hubert, North Carolina, and Palmetto Championship Wrestling in Columbia, South Carolina. I'll be wrestling Jackson James.
And, of course, we will be at WrestleCon at the end of this month, in the beginning of April, that is. March 30th, 31st, and April 1st. I think there's a 31st in March, I'm not mistaken. But yeah, the WrestleMania weekend will be down at the big WrestleCon event, WrestleCon.com. You should show for that. But, anyways, as always, if we've made a mistake or we made an error or you want to point something out about WrestleMania 11, feel free to tweet me at ManScoutManning. And make sure you log on to the website, howdidthisgetbooked.com. Of course, we have How Did This Get Booked t-shirts, as well as my own personal merch and ManScout Manning merch. Also, to make sure you subscribe on iTunes and Google Play and YouTube and SoundCloud. Also, too, I think we're going to be getting this on Stitcher sometime soon. So we'll be getting more platforms, so make sure you be... Wherever you get podcasts, just type in How Did This Get Booked. More than likely, it's going to pop up.
Hopefully you get them from somewhere else other than Stitcher, or this would not be coming to you.
Exactly.
Yes.
So tell a friend. It's still Tripod Month, so I could recommend a podcast to you because you're supposed to recommend podcasts, but we need all the help recommending.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose viewers. So
but fuck that idea. We'll get that one later.
If you know somebody that has a podcast, plug us instead of us plugging them. This has been another edition of How Did This Get Booked?